Welcome to the Solemn Vanguard channel. Today we're doing a deck profile, deck preview, deck guide, I don't know what to call it, of Maelstrom. I do say Maelstrom and not really Aqua Force because this specific video will be going over a Maelstrom deck. Because you see, right now there's basically two types of Aqua Force decks in Standard, and it's actually pretty interesting because it is the first time I think we're seeing that a clan is being split up in two camps. And sure, you had the hero stuff in Nova Grappler and such, but that doesn't really count in my opinion, because everyone basically agrees, okay, the heroes are just the budget thing, whereas here it's actually like Naval Gazer may be more viable than Maelstrom or vice versa. So this video is about Maelstrom, and then in a future video I'll do the Naval Gazer flip side. So generally I would split them up in two decks. So we start off this list of course with 4 Maelstrom, the boss grade 3, which generally just gets stomped by anyone who knows how to guard well. If they don't, if they're in an iffy situation, Maelstrom can punish kind of. Apart from that, you also have the 3k boost to the front row. Not always relevant, sometimes it is, but yeah, so your 4 Maelstrom that you want to be riding. And then to fill out the grade 3s, we have 2 Diamantes and 2 Riptide. Now, Riptide is awesome. The problem is that you don't want to clog your hand with it, because you can't just call your whole field full of Riptides, and you don't want to ride him either, because he doesn't give you an Excel gift. So making sure that you still have those 2 extra grade 3s with an Excel gift that also have a use on rearguard, make sure that you're going to be bricking just a little bit less. So 4 Maelstrom, 2 Diamantes, 2 Riptide. You can of course play around with these numbers. I've seen Japanese builds going for 4 Riptide. That's fine. Riptide is a good card, but I mean, if you have to ride it, it's kind of painful. Some people also play like 4 Maelstrom, 1 Naval, and then stuff like that. But I'm going for the really slick 4 Maelstrom, 2 Dia, 2 Riptide. Then for the grade 2 department, of course, 4 Algos, our trial deck card. I think everyone loves him by now. He's solid in the early game, makes extra attacks, just why not? And we have 4 Tidal Assault. Again, just creating extra attacks is good, but yes, if they hit a defensive trigger, it's gonna be really painful. However, him not losing power can be pretty beneficial when he's on an Excel circle. You just really want to be watching out for your soul, and not everyone runs Viviana. Now next up, we have these 2 odd slots. What we generally are doing in Aqua Force in Standard is turning down the amount of grade 1s we run in order to have more grade 2s, because these are going to be in our front row. We also don't usually have the hand to actually call full fields with boosters. We don't have it. We don't have the hand to do that. And apart from that, Excel circles also can't be boosted. So there is lots of value in actually turning down the amount of grade 1s you have in order to make room for grade 2s or even grade 3s. So in these slots, we have 3 Storm Rider Basil and 2 Lazarus. Now I will say, I see many people in Japanese builds and even English builds switching these around, going, I want more of Basil, more of Lazarus, less of Basil, less of Lazarus, or even Trident Shooter. But again, maybe you want to do that in Naval, But kinda just like in the Tavas days, where we had our 4 Adelaide, 4 Tidal, and then the final slot, like, do whatever. That's kinda how I feel it is right now. Sure, you can say this thing is going to be better than this, okay, sure, depending on the situation, but generally, your 4 Algos and your 4 Tidal slots, those are stuck. No one is going out of that. And the final slot is where you can get maybe a little bit more creative, say, okay, I want the Basil or the Lazarus or the Trident Shooter. In this list, there's 5 spots, but I personally wouldn't be running all 3, because that's getting very techy. We don't really have any draw engine, sure Viviana, but like we don't have a draw engine. So if you're gonna be teching like 2-2-1 or something, you're not gonna see that one. There's no real point in my opinion. So just try to go 3-2. Now next up for grade 1s, we have 4 Light Signals Penguin Soldier, or better known as Anakin Penguin, Protector of the Fate. Boy oh boy, do I love this penguin. This is legit my main mat right now. I just love this guy so much. So 4 Light Signals Penguin Soldier, even considering him in premium for some odd reason, he's good. An Excel circle, but light. He's like Excel light, if that makes sense. He just gives your thing, no matter how many times it's gonna restand, at 5k. So you don't need a restanding booster, because you always have that 5k. It's just, I don't know, it's solid. You should try it out. And of course, you also get your counterblast back. Next up is for Theo. Theo is good, but I feel like people maybe overrate him. But I still want to run 4 right now. And he can also be foil, so that's that's another thing for the rarity horse out there. But yeah, Theo just gives power. He is, however, reliant on hitting. You will notice that this deck is about pressure with on hits, but then if your opponent is really good at going, okay, I want to guard this and this, but not this and this, it's gonna hurt a bit for the Aquaforce player if the other player is actually pretty good. And then the final slot for 4 more grade 1s is gonna be kind of dependent on what you want. Some people go for Viviana in order to get some soul, get some draw, but I mean, you're not really plussing. Or go for Influent Dagger. Now, Influent Dagger is kind of flying under the radar as far as I'm seeing, but he's actually really interesting. So what he does is, for every battle beyond the third, or the third counts already, but every battle, like, you know what I mean, he starts ramping up power. And now the thing is, this deck does a lot of tiny pokes, and so that thing actually gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's really interesting. So not a lot of people want to give the card credit. I get why. When I first saw him, I was like, how many attacks are we gonna do beyond the third anyway? Like, fuck this piece of shit. But he's actually, I don't know, I would consider him. So in this 4th slot, either you value the Influent Dagger high roll kind of place, or you go for the Viviana hoping that you can soul charge and maybe get some draws, but really it's not that much. Personally, I will be going 2-2 until I see like, whoa, fuck Influent or oh, fuck Viviana, but I will be going 2-2 because I don't think there's much value in having many Influent Daggers. You don't really want to have multiples on the field since he will be forced to swing early on already then, whereas having one, that one can ramp up while the others are doing the attacks. So I don't want to see too many. So I think I'll play 2 for now, might go up, and then 2 Viviana. Another thing to consider, and I'm really considering, is to just maybe go down in the other grade 1 slots to maybe make more room for an Influent or a Viviana. These are just the choices you have to make. Do you want more pressure of Theo giving the power? Do you want more pressure of Viviana giving you the draw? You might notice I'm not too hyped about Viviana's draw. Now, as our starter, of course, there's the one option, the starter. He gives us the draw when we ride on it next. And then we get to triggers. And I've done some deck previews and deck profiles on this channel so far. And the triggers have always been, oh, crits and draws and heals, boom, done. Because that's basically how standard worked up till now. This is, I feel like, the first clan where you actually have a choice. One thing you could choose with Nova Grappler is to go for more draws. I still think that doesn't work, but more power to you if you think it does. But here in Aquaforce we do have the interesting choice. Do we go for fronts or crits or even extra draws? And my conclusion for this build with Maelstrom is that I'm going for 8 fronts, 4 draws and 4 heals. The draws being the draw PGs. Why? Well, I feel like the front triggers are very, very scary in that you don't have to take the risk. Let's say your opponent goes 2-2 pass. You don't have to take the risk of putting the power on something because you can just put it on everything at once. More importantly, if we don't hit front triggers and they hit a defensive, it's done. We don't hit for shit anymore. So fronts are really, really important to make sure that all our ranks keep pushing. And because our ranks can keep on pushing, that also increases the chance of Maelstrom going off. Now, one thing that you do have to consider is if you don't run crits, Maelstrom's swing isn't that scary anymore. They know they can actually no-guard it when they're at 4 damage. And so that is a thing to consider. Maybe you want to run the 1 or 2 crits just for the off chance to bait someone like that. It's an option, but for now I'm going for the 8 fronts. Now, some people who like Aquaforce will say play 5 or 6 draws, as I did in the G era with Tavas. Now the reason that I ran 6, is it 6? I used to run 5, now I run 6 in my Tavas, is the value of one card went up like crazy around G, when G guards came out basically. Back in the day, running a draw meant that on average you would get 5k guard extra in your hand. Why? Well, let's say you trigger check a draw trigger, right? So your drive check, draw. There's a few things that can happen. You can either get a grade 1 or a grade 2, which is 5k shield. Remember, we're in G era thinking right now. You could get a 5k guard. You could get a 10k guard from a trigger, but you could also get a 0k guard from a grade 3. So the draw, which only had 5k guard, could get a maximum of 10k extra, but it could also get 0k extra. On average, you would just get a 5k extra guard, and so 5k guard from its own guard plus 5k from whatever extra card you got created 10k guard. So usually a draw trigger created just as much guard as a critical trigger would have, but without the critical trigger. So therefore, before G guards and such came out, if the value of your cards by themselves wasn't large enough, critical triggers were objectively better than draws. This changed when the value of one piece became higher than the value of that guard. When we started seeing recyclable PGs, suddenly the value of one extra card created something very magical. The value of one extra card was suddenly not being attacked at all because of that PG. Or it could be a heal, which could create your G guards, and G guards were really good. It could ramp up your GB amount, it could get you extra effects. It was just way more guard as well. We also saw more and more powerful cards that, when drawn into, were just bonkers. You really, really liked going through your deck. Apart from that, you also had a Gleam, which could turn one draw trigger into an even better draw. One could argue that a card like Tava's Grade 3 is much more valuable to draw into with a draw trigger than the 5k extra shield you would have gotten with crits. However, we're now in standard, so all of that stuff is gone. The only value that a draw trigger creates is either the piece or the extra shield value you get from whatever you draw. Shield value did increase in general, but I don't think it increased enough to offset the value a front trigger would have. And our pieces, our cards by themselves, actually don't offset enough value either. I don't think drawing an extra Teo is worth hitting a front at all, like not even close. We're back in limit break era, and so this whole craze that we had back then of all crits, fuck draw triggers, is kind of creeping back into standard. Now, Bushi knew this, seemingly, and so they invented draw PGs, which have insane amounts of value because they open up your grade 1 slots. For a draw PG, I would say 100% worth it, but draws in general, you really have to have a very good reason to be running them. And so I know I will get some shit for this from some Aqua Force players. For now, I will be running 8 front 4 draws. I don't think the extra draw is worth not hitting a front trigger, because otherwise defensives just fuck us so damn hard. So that is basically all. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe to the Solemn Vanguard channel and click the bell button to stay up to date. Like the video if you liked the video, and more importantly, let me know your thoughts on this list, or like how you're going to be running your list, in the comments down below. And I will see you soon. Ciao.